Yesterday, a mysterious rampage occurred in a small town in the country of Usas, and all 3,000 people in the town died overnight. At present, the president of Usas has issued an extermination order and will use gasoline napalm to completely burn the town to prevent mystery spreads. Yanguo issued a statement that he will continue to protect the life and safety of the people of Yanguo, which is incompatible with the mysterious phenomenon. Recently, Sacred Britain has made a breakthrough in the research on mystery, and will continue to lead the pace of the times and open a new chapter for mankind to fight against mystery. The 6th-level mysterious disaster that lasted for 28 days finally destroyed the African country of Wakanda. In order to prevent this doomsday-level mysterious disaster from continuing to spread, the United Nations has authorized the 5 permanent members to purify every inch of that country with hydrogen bombs. At present, people from neighboring countries have been evacuated to seek refuge. Soo-yoon looked at these reports and knew that the world was like a runaway jockey, heading for the collapse and never returning. Because of the disaster called mysterious resurrection in this world, all kinds of strange stories, weirdness, evil spirits, and other things that science can't explain that only existed in stories and legends before appeared. On the human side, there is no legendary extraordinary power, and can only rely on technology to deal with it. In fact, technology is so useless in the face of these mysterious mists, and the thermal weapons and various chemical weapons that humans are proud of have no way to effectively curb the mysterious phenomenon. It can be said that in the face of incomprehensible mysteries, the pride of modern civilization has been trampled on like waste paper. That is to say, all mysterious things are afraid of the sun and will be purified under the light of the sun, so now humans can still fight against the mystery. Unfortunately, the weakness of the mysterious phenomenon's fear of the sun is also idealistic. The simulated sunlight created by humans, including ultraviolet rays and converging light, is invalid for the mysterious phenomenon. This kind of situation, which is completely incomprehensible with science, is really just like the fairy tale, which makes the human side very helpless. Nowadays, the most effective way for humans to fight against mysterious things is to throw hydrogen bombs, because the nuclear fusion effect of hydrogen bombs can simulate the power of the sun to a certain extent, thus causing a devastating blow to mysterious phenomena. Can something like a hydrogen bomb be thrown away? The mysterious phenomenon of the no man's land is good to say. If the mysterious phenomenon occurs in the city, throwing the hydrogen bomb is the last resort, and it is also used to perish together. Such devastating attacks are only carried out when a city or a region, a country is completely destroyed by a mysterious phenomenon. It can be said that human beings are absolutely disadvantaged in the face of mysterious phenomena, and it is not surprising when they completely collapse. Because the mysterious phenomenon is becoming more and more serious with the passage of time, and although humans' coping experience is increasing and relevant research is also being carried out, it is still getting weaker and weaker. Many small and medium-sized countries can no longer withstand it, and domestic chaos is rampant. The doomsday atmosphere prevails. The collapse of these small and medium-sized countries also symbolizes the beginning of the collapse of the entire world. Now all countries are full of worries and anxiety about this, and they don't know what to do. There is no doubt that in such a world, Soo-yoon may face the mysterious apocalypse in which human life is inferior to that of a dog at any time, and he may play GG at any time for no apparent reason. However, Soo-yoon didn't panic at all, because he is a systematic man. Moreover, the system gave him an ultimate task. Please save this world that is on the verge of collapse. At the same time, a large amount of information poured into Soo-yoon's mind, letting him know the specific situation of this world and why he came to this world. The system was created by the world itself, and Soo-yoon's travel was also caused by this world. To put it bluntly, the world's will in this world found that it was over, and then he went to the hospital to find a savior from another world. Soo-yoon is the savior this world is looking for. It's just that what he traveled through was not a magical world, but a comprehensive world. Yes, this is a comprehensive world. There are two-dimensional paper wives that Soo-yoon is familiar with, including everyday and extraordinary. Just because the world is a world without magic, no matter what kind of extraordinary power those people have in the anime works, they are just ordinary people in this world. Originally, there is nothing wrong with this, and there is nothing wrong with the ordinary world, at least those crises that will destroy the world at every turn will not occur. However, a mysterious recovery has come. To be more precise, it is a mysterious invasion. The mysterious phenomenon that suddenly appeared, the world of Gain accidentally came into contact with an indescribable and mysterious space, resulting in today's mysterious recovery. However, because of the superdimensional contact, this comprehensive world became ignorant and conscious, and then found that his situation was very bad, so he instinctively sought outside help. Then, in his sleep, Soo-Yoon unconsciously received a distress message from Zongman World. In his dream, he boldly expressed that he was saving the world. He was very familiar with it, having read countless online articles and played countless games. Commander, Doctor, Captain, Traveler, and other superheroes, he is a little expert at saving the world. Well, it's purely because I'm dreaming, I don't know what I'm doing, but there is a ignorant little guy who asks him for help, begging to save the world, so the stinky problem of playing too many games comes, directly expressing that he is talking about saving the world, is a professional. Then, the ecstatic newborn world consciousness signed a contract with Soo-Yoon in his sleep, and handed over all the power he possessed to Soo-Yoon, pulling Soo-Yoon into his own world. The world consciousness also fell into a deep sleep because of excessive consumption. Soo-Yoon took the power given by the world consciousness and stood in a strange world with a dazed expression. Afterwards, it took Soo-Yoon 3 days to completely accept the current situation and consider how to save this comprehensive world of taking jujube pills. What Soo-Yoon holds is nothing but the power given by the world consciousness, a fantasy power with extremely high plasticity and infinite possibilities. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. After thoroughly researching this fantasy power, Soo-Yoon suddenly discovered that the use of this fantasy power is very suitable. It is like a game editor, allowing him to edit freely. You must know that Soo-Yoon was a game planner before crossing the border, and his operations in this area are professional counterparts. So, it took a month for Soo-Yoon to make fantasy power into a system, which he named the fantasy system. It's just that this system doesn't have the intelligence in those online novels, or in other words, it doesn't have the intelligence, it belongs to the not-so-smart ducks. However, this is indeed a system, and its function is also combined with the plan to save the world conceived in Soo-Yoon's mind, and it is entirely for the purpose of serving the plan. The mysterious recovery has filled human beings with desire and begging for the transcendent. This desire and begging has turned into countless fantasy powers, and finally awakened the world consciousness of this world. However, because there is no clear action and means to absorb fantasy power, most of the fantasy power is meaninglessly dissipated, and even absorbed by mysteries, forming many terrifying and mysterious phenomena that are incomprehensible to mortals. Then, if I can collect and use my fantasy power, then I have a chance to save this world on the verge of collapse. Yes, the law of victory is already in my hands. Now, everything is ready. Essay, let the people in this world truly witness extraordinary power, and let the selected people gain extraordinary power and become the power to save the world. Are you right? International student Miss Artoria. In the classroom of Class B of Senior 1 of Tianwang International High School, Soo-Yoon looked at a beautiful girl with blonde hair and blue eyes in the front row on the right, with a bunch of dull hair on top of her head, and a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. In this world, Soo-Yoon's identity is that of an international student from Yan Kingdom, and Tianwang International University is one of the many international universities in Yingzhou. International students from all over the world study in this school. Yes, Yingzhou, the full name of Yingzhou International Trade Autonomous Region, is actually the neon of the Soo-Yoon world. It's just that in this world, the history is completely different. Neon was conquered by the Yan Kingdom in ancient times and became a part of that great civilization. Up to now, Yingzhou has become an open area of Yan Kingdom because of its geographical environment. Compared with the conservative local area, Yingzhou is full of the atmosphere of an international region, and the entertainment industry is very developed, basically not as big as Japan in the Suyunyuan world. The difference? If I had to say it, that is, with the backing of the great Yan Kingdom, Yingzhou didn't need to lick the Westerners. Of course, these settings are also backgrounds. For Suyun, it is meaningless to just sigh about how different the world is. After crossing into this world, the world consciousness as a reward for advance payment, in addition to handing over all the fantasy power he possesses to Suyun, also makes Suyun's body young and handsome. At the same time, it was also directly and seamlessly inserted into the Tianwang International University. It was because of this school that Suyun realized that he was in a comprehensive world, because in this school alone, many characters that he had only seen in the second dimension were all over the place. There is even an illusion of seeing a Stitch monster. 15-year-old student girl Artoria suddenly had a cold fight. She felt as if she was being targeted by someone with bad intentions, which made her feel inexplicable, and looked around subconsciously. In the end, they didn't see anything, everyone was listening carefully to the lecture, and a certain initiator had already taken his eyes back. Seeing this, Arteria frowned slightly, feeling even worse. Although she is only a student from the Holy British Empire on the surface, she actually has another identity, that is, a member of the royal family of the Holy British Empire. Her real name is Arteria Pendragon, a direct descendant of King Arthur. And growing up in the royal family, she has to face all kinds of conspiracies since she was a child. Even if she is very late as the heir to the throne, she is qualified to inherit the imperial throne, and naturally there will be all kinds of troubles to find on her. Therefore, the girl has been very sensitive since she was a child, and she was born with a strong intuition. When someone stared at her with malicious eyes, she would immediately feel it. If the girl could see her hair, she would find that her trademark tuft of hair suddenly hardened, and turned to where Suyun was, as if pointing at Suyun. After Suyun saw it, he couldn't help twitching his face. Should he be called the dumb king? Even without extraordinary power, this dumb hair can automatically search for enemies like a human radar. It's really unscientific. But that's okay. Suyun said that you are a good man, because soon, Arteria's stupid hair will not have time to find him, because the world will be in the next minute, the next half a minute, the next 10 seconds change in the next second. Brush. At the same time, a huge light curtain appeared above every place and place all over the world. Immediately, people all over the world were taken aback, and then many people fell into panic. After all, the world has experienced too many unknowns and fears, and everyone takes it for granted that this is another mysterious phenomenon. It was only soon that people realized that something was wrong, because a piece of text appeared in the light curtain. And the characters are different in different regions, and the characters displayed are the characters corresponding to each region, which basically ensures that people in each region can understand the characters displayed on the light curtain. And what is shown above is a paragraph that is talking to himself, but also stating a certain word buried in the dust of history. Mystery, chaos, madness, these things have never been far away from human beings in this world. Humanity has forgotten those who possessed extraordinary power in the past, and erased the history that once existed. Evil, righteous, kind, crazy, all supernatural beings, all traces of existence have been erased under the decision of some people. Now, the mystery has recovered, but human beings have lost their extraordinary power and become powerless and passive in the face of extraordinary mystery. How sad and ironic this is! Humans always make the same mistakes. However, the world will not. Humans erased the stories of those heroes who saved the world, but the world still remembers them. So, it's time to reveal the truth buried in the dust of history. Belonging to the legendary story of the extraordinary people, people read this text involuntarily. Some read it silently, while others read it directly. Also because of this, after reading it, most people are confused, and the first reaction is that it should be fake. Some people's pranks, a certain film and television company's new propaganda method, a mirage, hallucinations, etc. Basically, not many people think that the text in the light curtain is real, because the beginning is similar to that of many movies, which is too cliché. But there are also many people who know that this light curtain is real, and the text displayed in it may also be real. Because these people are located in special areas, such as the highest office area of a country, or the private manor of some rich people. These places do not allow outsiders or strangers to enter, and they are strictly guarded, so there is no possibility of being pranked. However, no matter what the speculation was, everyone's thoughts were put aside for the time being, because the situation in the light curtain had changed again. That is, after showing for almost 2 minutes, the picture has a new change. After a shady scene, another gorgeous title appeared. This is the Holy Grail War belonging to the Eternal King. Seeing this scene, many people who have studied British history were stunned for a moment. Because the terms Eternal King and the Holy Grail have directly stated the identity of a person, that is, the ancestor of the Holy British Empire, who is revered as the Eternal King by the entire West. Among Tianwang International High School, the one who shocked the most was Arturia. Because the Pendragon family is the direct bloodline of King Arthur. Although thousands of years have passed, there have been many foreign bloodlines in this family, but there is no doubt that this family is indeed the direct bloodline of King Arthur, and has the highest bloodline of the Holy British Empire. Legal orthodoxy. Everyone in the Pendragon family is proud of this, and so is Arturia. He admires the legendary ancestor king very much, and has always longed to become a great ancestor like an ancestor. Now, seeing that the light curtain that seemed to be some kind of mysterious phenomenon actually wanted to play the story of King Arthur, Arturia was naturally full of shock and surprise. And, of course, the anger that family pride was offended. However, the girl quickly lost her anger, and the new house was once again filled with confusion and astonishment. Because, when the new screen of the light curtain appeared, the girl saw. Is that me? In the picture, on the beautiful Scottish wilderness, a girl with blonde hair wearing a special women's white armor is standing there. Inside the armor is a blue dress, but the armor is perfectly inlaid on the dress, forming a complete set of group armor. The girl wearing this group armor stood on the turquoise field like a knight in a dream. The breeze was blowing slowly. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com made the girl's armor and hair sway slightly. Her serious face without anger and self-righteousness looked straight ahead, her hands in front of her, and a golden sword stuck on the ground. On the handle. Although she looks like a 15 or 16-year-old girl, she is full of kingly aura, full of heroism, giving people a feeling of not being angry and arrogant. And the appearance of the girl is exactly the same as Arturia, and even the tuft of dull hair on her head is completely restored, as if the girl in the video is Arturia herself. After all, the girl in the video is Arturia. However, its full name is Arturia Arthur Pendragon. Arthur is the name of its king. This is King Arthur. When this text appeared, the camera zoomed out quickly, and in front of the girl, an elite group of knights with hundreds of people was kneeling on one knee in front of the girl king. Behind the elite knight group is a well-trained army of tens of thousands of elites. There is no doubt that this is the historically famous Knights of the Round Table and the mighty legion with 100 victories under King Arthur. In an instant, Arturia was stunned, and the people who knew Arturia were also stunned. They all stared at the scene in the light curtain with a look of although they couldn't understand it, but they were shocked. Expression. As for Suyun, the initiator, seeing the fantasy power index on the system panel rapidly soaring from single digits, the corner of his mouth couldn't help evoking a happy smile. Sure enough, the conjecture is correct. Although it consumes a small amount of fantasy power, this method of making two-dimensional characters die in front of the world is a high investment and high return. An endless stream of fantasy power is constantly being generated and collected. Bring it on. Continue. Let the public execution be more violent. Alal, look, that's you, right? That's you, right? Did you go to make a movie this holiday? It's amazing. Is this the legendary projection technology? I thought such a thing was only found in movies, but does it actually exist in reality? Ria-chan, you really know how to hide it. You didn't reveal any rumors beforehand. Are you trying to surprise us? King Arthur? It's actually King Arthur? Isn't that ridiculous? King Arthur is obviously a man. That's right, the adaptation is not random, the joke is not nonsense, how can you play it casually? In the classroom, the students exploded, and a few people around Arteria were chatting non-stop, and everyone was very excited. In their opinion, what happened today was too cool. On the other hand, Arteria, the person involved, was stunned. After hearing the words of her classmates and friends, the girl quickly shook her head. No, 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 I didn't shoot this kind of thing, that shouldn't be me. In the end, even Arteria didn't believe it. After all, they were exactly the same except for the hairstyle. The girl king in the light curtain has her hair and placed on the back of her head, while Arteria herself is much simpler, with a cute single ponytail tied behind her head. Of course, there are more than one hairstyles for girls, and so does Arteria. At least Soo-yoon has seen many kinds of hairstyles, each of which is very cute, showing the charm of this blonde girl vividly. It's just that in Soo-yoon's heart, the most classic image is always the one in the light curtain. King Arthur Arteria. At this moment, the camera in the light curtain was brought closer to the girl king, so that billions of people around the world could clearly see the girl's delicate face. At this moment, countless men, women, and children all over the world have a feeling of heartbeat, because girls have a huge charm of killing men and women, and people can't help but have a subtle impulse. Then, the camera continued to zoom in and entered the girl's eyes in a way of a movie camera. At this moment, the girl closed her eyes, and the process lasted about 2 seconds. Immediately after the camera zoomed out again, the girl opened her eyes again, but the scene just now disappeared, replaced by the interior of a private jet. The maiden king who opened her eyes has changed into a set of clothes, from a delicate women's armor to a black suit. At the same time, the hairstyle has also changed into a capable single ponytail. With that delicate face, he is like a super handsome and beautiful man, which makes the hearts of countless eldest sisters and aunts all beat wildly and their eyes are filled with peach blossoms. At this moment, a soft female voice also sounded in Arteria's ear in the picture. Saber, did you dream about something just now? Hearing this, Arteria turned to look at the seat next to her. When the screen stopped at the speaker of the female voice, countless men became excited, especially the men from the Yan Kingdom, who were hit by a special attack. Because, sitting there was a woman with silver hair and a white leather jacket made of high-grade fur. Her red eyes were clear and bright, revealing the curiosity of virginity. White hair. Red pupil. Virginity. Except that she is not a loli, she basically has the special attack attribute full. And when this beautiful woman who seemed to be in her 20s at most appeared, the Emiya family in Fuyuki City, Alice Phil, a housewife, suddenly showed a cute expression, ah! That's me! In a high school in Fuyuki City, Shiro Emiya, the adopted son of the Emiya family, opened his mouth and showed a surprised expression. At the same moment, in a country in Fuyuki City, Ilias Veal was also extremely shocked. Is that Mom? Eli? In the Yingzhou Paranormal Disaster Response Room, Emiya Kiritsugu, who was smoking and relaxing in the rest area, began to tremble slightly with the cigarette. Apart from the Emiya family, those who knew the situation of the Emiya family were also extremely shocked. Those who didn't know the truth thought that the wife of the Emiya family went to shoot the film. Not to mention, it's quite photogenic. At the same time, everyone is also speculating about what the content of these images is trying to express. Why is it just an ancient golden horse and an iron horse, and it has turned into a modern style when it turns its head? Is it really just a dream? Thinking about it, it's right. King Arthur can't be a girl. Although motherhood is a popular topic now, it's too much to broadcast in this way. Be careful that the Pendragon family gets angry. Even though the royal family in modern society is far inferior to ancient times, the Pendragon family is still the #1 family in the world. They possess terrifying energy and dare to offend their ancestors. Revenge. In the light curtain image, Artoria also responded to Iris Veal's inquiry. She sat up straight and said calmly, "I'm sorry, I lost my temper. Even if I am a servant now, I will be troubled by dreams. I also dreamed of the past." Iris Veal nodded knowingly, with a very innocent look, and then she tilted her head and said with a cute expression, "In the past. I'm really curious about your past, Saber. After all, you are the famous one." The knight. "Madam." Artoria suddenly interrupted Iris Veal, "It is during the Holy Grail War. My real name is very important information. Even if there are no outsiders here, we have to be careful, because we do not know what means does the enemy have. Just as the master chooses to hide in the dark, we must be careful as a force on the bright side." Hearing this, Iris Veal quickly covered her mouth, showing a somewhat nervous and cute expression. After Mo had killed a large number of men and women, she let go and said shyly, "Well, I'm sorry, Saber, for causing you and Kiritsugu trouble." Arturia shook her head, "No need to apologize, madam. I should apologize to you for involving you in such a dangerous Holy Grail war." Iris Veal quickly waved her hand, "No. I did it of my own accord. After all, the Holy Grail, the all-purpose wishing machine, is what both you and Kiritsugu are after. As long as I can help you, I will be very happy." Arturia was silent, then bowed her head and said thank you. The camera in the picture also zooms out quickly, showing the truth that the private jet is flying in the clouds. Wow, that silver-haired lady is actually a wife? Actually married? Damn it! I just fell in love. Is the relationship over? Is this the only thing you have noticed? The problem is not this, okay? What is that huge light curtain? I checked the internet, and now there are such things all over the world. That is to say, what we see, the stuff is played all over the world in sync. Is it so powerful? Is this a new technology of the United Nations? The United Nations is a ghost. This thing obviously exceeds the limit of the existing technology. This is definitely not a naturally formed thing. Hey, could it be? Is this really a mysterious phenomenon? Don't guess. How can there be mysterious phenomena that happen all over the world at the same time? That's too scary. It's over, the end of the world is finally here. We're completely over. Damn it. I'm still in the middle, and I don't want to die. Anyway, let me find a handsome little brother to break it and talk about it. Hey, I didn't expect to see that you are a muscular man. You are so good at this. Vomit, these are discussed by ordinary people. But for the official, this is not the case. The high-level officials of each major country immediately received the following information, confirming that this is not a mysterious phenomenon. Although it has always been passive, human beings have also developed tools to detect mysterious phenomena, and the projected light curtain does not have any energy fluctuations of mysterious phenomena, so it is confirmed that it is definitely not a mysterious thing. Then the question is, what is it? After it was confirmed that the image was really created out of thin air and that it wasn't any phenomenon known to the Earth, countless people were jumped out of curiosity. At the same time, a kind of seemingly guessing, in fact, the world itself instilled the will of all human beings, that is, this video is real, it was recorded by the world, what happened in the past, and when mysterious disasters are rampant, the world will tell the intelligent life it has nurtured and the truth buried in history. This idea is also realized by Soo-yoon with the power of fantasy. It is a kind of information installation. All people who see the video will automatically receive this information, forming a subtle influence, so that when people watch it, they will unknowingly I believe that the content played in the light curtain is true, and it is a story that has happened in this world. After all, Soo-yoon is doing things to collect enough fantasy power. If people don't believe that what is in the video is true, the collection process of fantasy power will be greatly affected. He will not lose money. Trade. Affected by this information, some smart people and people with good luck in the world have begun to make unreasonable associations, and realize that the reality that human beings have no extraordinary power may be completely broken from today. In the comprehensive world, people with luck are naturally some characters who have appeared in many two-dimensional works. For example, Artoria herself, who is the client. At this moment, Arteria looked at the light curtain, her heartbeat speeded up suddenly, and the name of the Holy Grail War made her feel that a certain blocked area of her brain was touched, and the memory inside wanted to come out, but she was killed. The uncomfortable feeling of being locked inside. In the end, what's going on? What exactly is the picture? Don't think too much, just watch it. Laya. A calm voice sounded, stroking Arteria's heart like a breeze, soothing her restless emotions. Turning her head around, Arteria saw a very handsome boy standing beside her and gave her a gentle smile. Arteria suddenly smiled gratefully, "Thank you, Ayun." The boy, that is, Soo-yoon, smiled and said nothing. He turned his head to look at the light curtain, posing as if he accompanied Arteria to continue watching the content. Arteria and the others around them didn't feel anything wrong when they saw it. After all, Soo-yoon and Arteria were very good friends, and they were both famous figures in the school. After all, appearance is justice, and both of them are the existences who fill up the value of justice. Of course, if Arteria knew that the social death she was going through was caused by the teenagers around her, she would definitely have a different mood. In the light curtain, the camera changed again. This time, it became night, and a melancholy male voice full of vicissitudes sounded. The Holy Grail War, in the name of the miracle of the Holy Grail, is a great magic created by magicians, involving 7 magicians, summoning the heroic spirits who ascended to the throne of heroes to descend to the mortal world and become servants controlled by the magicians. On that basis a miraculous war was waged. It's ridiculous. This kind of war between magicians would actually let me, the magician killer, participate in it, are you right? Meh. Following the man's words, what appeared was a silhouette of a man who was sitting by the window of a hotel room with a cigarette between his fingers. He had a very cinematic look. In the room, there was also a beauty in men's clothing. The figure appeared in the moonlight outside the window. Even me, and me. Emi Yakiritsugu's hand holding the cigarette trembled even more, and he couldn't help feeling his scalp tingle, while his colleagues next to him stared at him and the capable female detective Kuumya who was standing not far away. The two are partners in the supernatural disaster countermeasure room, and they are also superiors. Myaku is the assistant of the elite detective Emi Yakiritsugu. Usually, the two of them look like refined and capable generals. They work vigorously and resolutely, never sloppy, giving people a cool feeling. Only now, both of them have a strong sense of social death. At the same time, because the two people in the picture are in the same room, they have a strong sense of crisis. Not good. I always feel that there will be unacceptable super expansion in the next screen. In Fuyaki City, the Emiya family and those who knew Emi Yakiritsugu were all stunned for a while, but because of Irisville's situation, everyone quickly recovered, and then many people were thinking about Emiya. When did the couple go to make a movie? Why didn't they see that the couple was so good in acting? Looking at Emi Yakiritsugu and Irisville in the picture, the performances are the same as the real ones, killing those little fresh meat and little Hawadan who have no acting skills at all, so that even their parents don't know each other. Of course, some people don't think so. While their hearts are beating wildly, they realize that the scene in the picture is very likely to have happened. The contents displayed by this strange light curtain are all real events. Obviously, these scenes Soo-yoon created are actually the plot in the anime Fate/Zero, which is the super classic Fourth Holy Grail War. Of course, there are Soo-yoon's private goods mixed in here. It is a modified version of the magic, and it must be very different from the original. For example, the magician mentioned by Emi Yakiritsugu in the light curtain screen is a magician in the original work, but what Soo-yoon wants to create is a supernatural world view, not a moon-shaped world view, so magicians will always confuse people. In addition, there are plans for other works to change the plot of magic in the future. In order to earn more fantasy power, Soo-yoon simply did not do it again and again, and directly changed the magicians into magicians. Anyway, to most passers-by, magicians in Xingyu world are completely indistinguishable anyway. They are a group of supernatural beings who like to play tricks and are very mysterious. Mage, and mage killer. Takako Boundless looked bewildered. As the head of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Room, she naturally recognized her capable men, but she had never heard of Emi Yakiritsugu being so arrogant. Thinking of this, immeasurable Tajiko immediately picked up the phone on the desk and called out, "Hey, it's me, yes. Where are Emi Yakiritsugu and Myaku now? The rest area? Call them immediately and call me." After a pause, she immediately changed her words, "No, I'll take the initiative to go there. In addition, the headquarters will be under martial law, and everyone will be prohibited from entering and leaving. From now on, the Supernatural Disaster Response Room will enter a state of emergency, and it must be maintained without my order." Following the order of Infinite Tajiko, the headquarters of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Room in Tokyo was directly blocked and entered into a state of martial law. When Emi Yakiritsugu saw this, he knew that he was going to suffer, but he couldn't do anything. After all, he knew his own situation. Although he was an elite detective, he had sufficient experience and skills to deal with mysterious phenomena. But he really is not that powerful magician killer. At this moment, Emi Yakiritsugu felt miserable. And what made Emi Yakiritsugu collapse the most was what happened next in the light curtain screen. In the camera, after smoking, Emi Yakiritsugu stood up, while Kuumiya walked in front of him and looked up at this melancholy and vicissitudes of life man. Then, the man said slowly, "Sorry, Ellie, I must betray you in this Holy Grail war." Then, Myaku took the initiative to kiss, but Emi Yakiritsugu didn't refuse. The screen was moved to the outside of the window, so that people could only see the bright moon outside, but in the camera they could hear the sound of Zixi Sujuo. Countless old drivers knew that it was the sound of undressing, and all of them instantly showed the expression of LSBs. There were men and women, after all, LSBs and old drivers are gender neutral. However, more people uttered unpleasant scolding, saying that Emi Yakiritsugu is really a scumbag, and there is a kind of direct release of the picture. Such a secretive, only enjoying himself but not sharing it with everyone, he is really a scumbag among scumbags. At this moment, the whole person of Emi Yakiritsugu in the real world collapsed. He really wanted to light a bunch of cigarettes, and then put on a classic emoji to express the collapse in his heart. On the other hand, Myaku, who was next to her, was surprised after reading it, but her mood was subtle, and she didn't feel like she had collapsed at all. Instead, Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com was a little overjoyed. After all, she was secretly in love with Emi Yakiritsugu, but the latter kept herself clean and didn't even have any ambiguous atmosphere with her. The two were just colleagues. Emi Yakiritsugu took out his mobile phone tremblingly, made a call, and the call was quickly connected, but the other side was very silent, not a single sound. Taking a deep breath, Emi Yakiritsugu said, "Eli, listen to my explanation. Mya and I have no affair. Please believe me, we haven't done anything." Iris Veal on the other end of the phone made a cute voice, "Don't worry Kiritsugu, I know you are a human being, feel at ease. I didn't misunderstand, those images are just weird images. Just like I've never seen a girl named Saber, so that's it. I'll cook a delicious meal for you when I get home from get off work this week, so please look forward to it. After finishing speaking, Iris Veal unilaterally hung up the phone, while Emi Yakiritsugu turned grey. After all, he knew that although his wife was beautiful, lovely, and perfect, her cooking skills were negative. No matter what she did, as long as she made something, it would turn into a terrible dark dish. And whenever Iris Veal was in a bad mood, she would cook a bunch of dark dishes for him to eat. Looking up and looking at the light curtain image, Emi Yakiritsugu's eyes were hesitant and vicissitudes of life, almost the same as himself in the picture. If he had a chance to know who made this kind of image, he would definitely take out his submachine gun without hesitation to give him a shuttle. And when Emi Yakiritsugu felt suffocated by the death of the ultimate society, the camera in the picture also changed again, came to a manor mansion, and pulled it directly into the basement of the mansion. The Holy Grail War, my long-cherished wish of the Tosaka family for hundreds of years, is finally coming true. The most perfect summoning moment is the snakeskin fossil that records the existence of the king, and the special summoning ceremony based on the existence of the king. The law of victory is already in my hands. Kaire. A man in a red suit, with his face almost in shadow and only his chin showing, stood in front of a red circular circle and said such words. Behind the young man, a short-haired young man in a black uniform stood expressionlessly. He was handsome, with an obvious resolute temperament between his eyebrows, and his expression was solemn, and there was power in his eyes. After listening to the words of the man in the suit, he nodded. Yes, teacher, it's the same as your arrangement, but I heard that the king is arrogant and cruel. Is it really good to summon him as a servant? Hearing this, the goatee man raised a smile at the corner of his mouth, then slowly turned his head, raised his right hand, and slowly wiped it on his hair. At this moment, the man's face was revealed, and the face of a handsome middle-aged man with a smile appeared, and it was as if he had hairspray on his hands. The original mid-cut hairstyle directly turned into a domineering and side-splitting big man. Back. Then, the domineering BGM sounded, the man put away his smile, and said in an arrogant, indifferent, and domineering voice, Kaire, no one has stood in the sky from the beginning, whether you, me, or even God too. But the unbearable void period of the throne of the day will also come to an end from now on. I will stand at the top. Real world, although this man can be seen as the villain at first glance, but he is really handsome. Full of the bearing of the villain's big boss. I love it, I love this man and my wife. Who is he? People instantly remembered this domineering man who talked a lot when he appeared, and in the garden behind Tosaka's house in Fuyuki City, Tokyomi Tozaka, who was originally very elegant, clapped the teacup in his hand and fell to the ground. Opposite Tozaka Tokyomi, his wife Tosaka Aoi subconsciously covered her small mouth with her hand, her eyes widened with an expression of disbelief. The couple originally just watched the images in the light curtain with the mentality of passers-by, but they didn't want the melon to hit them directly. To be more precise, it was Tozaka Tokyomi. Because, darling, that man, is that you when you were young? Although you don't have a mustache, but that's you, so dear, are you actually a villain with a different appearance? Tosaka Aoi suffocated her husband 3 times with a weak expression on her face. Tosaka Tokyomi quickly defended, no. This is slander. Aoi, you know me. As the head of the Tosaka family, I have always followed the Tosaka family's family motto. How can I be the villain? That's too bad. Elegant. Furthermore, it's not just me, you see, even Kotomine Kaire is here, yet he still calls me teacher? When did I become his teacher? Obviously we haven't met a few times. At this moment, the man who is the head of the Tosaka family can hardly hold back his graceful posture. After all, the content in the light curtain is too shocking and too socially dead. Tokyomi Tozaka has no memory at all. It is not something he has done at all. Even the Kotomine Kaire in the light curtain, he has a relationship with the other party. After nodding, he knew that the other party was the priest of the Fuyuki City Church. On the other side, Mr. Kotomine Kaire, who was eating super spicy mapo tofu at a Chinese restaurant in Fuyuki City, half opened his mouth. The super spicy taste brought by the mapo tofu in his mouth could not suppress the shock in his heart at this time. What is it? Why does Mao still have himself here? And became that Tozaka Tokiomi's disciple? Why do I have no memory of this at all? Because he was too shocked, Kotomine Kaire took another bite of mapo tofu to overwhelm his shock. In an instant, the impact of the taste buds brought by the super spicy version of mapo tofu shot straight to his forehead, making him feel a strong sense of pleasure from head to toe, making him involuntarily let out a sigh of relief, and then continued to watch the image. Light curtain image. Yes, teacher, as you wish, I will do my best to bring victory to you and the Tosaka family. Facing the domineering Tozaka Tokiomi, Kotomine Kaire bowed his head, like a loyal pony overwhelmed by the big boss. Tokiomi Tozaka squinted his eyes and smiled. Those eyes were deep and mysterious, and the boss's temperament became stronger and stronger. There was something hidden in it that others could not understand. Then, Tosaka Tokiomi turned his head and looked at the clock on the wall next to him. The pointer had reached exactly 12 o'clock, and he also knew that it was time to summon. The right hand is raised, and the back of the hand is also exposed in the camera. It is a mark that looks like blood as a dye pattern in the hand. The shape is like a garden fan. 2 circles are wrapped in a vertical stroke. Strength. After Kotomine Kaire saw this scene, he also looked down at the back of his right hand, and there was a mark of the same color and material as the mark on the back of Tosaka Tokiomi's right hand, but the shape was different. The mark on the back of Kotomine Kaire's hand was shaped like a flame. Then, the voice belonging to Kotomine Kaire resounded. Command spell, the symbol of the participants in the Holy Grail War, is also the authority of the Master. Each Master who participates in the Holy Grail War has 3 command spells, which can impose 3 compulsory orders on the servants of the contract, and the servants can never disobey. Even a miraculous order has a probability of being realized. This narration-like voice directly explained to all the audience what this thing was. In the sudden realization of countless audiences around the world, the command spell on the back of Tosaka Tokiomi's hand lit up with a faint red light, and a strange breeze formed around his body, causing his hair and clothes to slowly sway, and a faint blue light appeared on his body, a powerful and mysterious light. The power seems to be breaking out from the light curtain, making the audience feel a strong sense of oppression. At the same time, the magic circle also seemed to respond to Tokiomi's power, showing red light, and flashing arcs from time to time. The light and shadow effects were full, so that passers-by would immediately understand that it was not simple. In fact, the summoning ceremony of the original book is not so fancy, but everything Suyun does is for fantasy, so he naturally needs to fill up the light and shadow special effects, so that ordinary people will have a feeling of although he can't understand it, but it feels very powerful, so he is greatly affected by it. Shock emotions. Along with this light and shadow special effect, Tokiomi Tosaka also recited the summoning mantra. Plain silver and iron. The contract of the earth stone. My ancestor and my teacher, Shobian Ogu. The surging wind is blocked by 4 walls. Close the gates of the 4 squares, release from the crown, and wander at the fork in the road to the kingdom. When the opening mantra was finished, the light and shadow special effects of UU reading www.uuganshu.com also rapidly upgraded, and it was already at the level of light pollution. Then, Tosaka Tokiomi's voice became even more intense at this moment. Declaration. Your body is under my command, my destiny is attached to your sword. Respond to the call of the Holy Grail, those who obey this will and reason, respond to me. I am the one who accomplishes all the good deeds in the world, and the one who collects all the evils in the world. 7 days of entwining the 3 spirits of words. Come through the wheel of inhibition. the guardian of the scales. As the last word fell, the magic power broke out completely, and the summoning ceremony was completed. In an instant, the magic power in the summoning formation churned, the white electric arc flickered non-stop, and the violent airflow continued. Finally, in the flickering white light, a man in gorgeous golden armor appeared on the summoning formation, revealing a flawless lower half of his face. It's just that I don't know if it was intentional or not. The upper half of his face was not revealed, only the upper half of his face was revealed to the audience. And seeing this man in golden armor, Tokiomi Tozaka narrowed his eyes and said in a magnetic voice, "Now, the law of victory is completely in our hands. Kyrie, we have already won. It's gone." At the same time as the declaration of victory was issued, the screen of the light curtain suddenly went dark. A text is also displayed above. The Holy Grail War, officially opened. At the same time, a clock that is constantly regressing appears. Then, the text changes, and the new text appears. The Fourth Holy Grail War, Prologue, End. At this point, the image of the light curtain disappeared, and the light curtain also disappeared in the days of countless people all over the world. This is the end. What? You just picked up people's interest, but it's over. Okay, it seems. Damn it. I still want to look behind. What the is going on here? It appeared out of nowhere, and some images were released out of nowhere. Could it be someone's prank? The truth. We demand to know the truth. We have the freedom to know the truth. Officials must tell us the truth. Fake news, next. Explode. Reality. Collapse. Everyday life. Appear through the wheel of inhibition. The guardian of the balance. Why can't I summon a servant? It's not fair. People were disturbing, and the relevant departments of various countries immediately took action. As for those who appeared in the light curtain images, they had to face countless questions and their inner stunned compulsion. For example, Artoria, at this time, was pestered by a group of people and kept on chatting and asking questions, although she was also very confused and couldn't understand the situation at all. However, a classmate who had a good relationship with Artoria soon stood up and helped Artoria. Among them was Soo-yoon, who was the initiator. This fellow showed that he was very concerned about Artoria and didn't want the other party to be troubled, but he didn't feel any guilt in his heart. After all, this is a necessary sacrifice. Of course, this is only a part of it. The biggest reason is that according to Soo-yoon's plan, Artoria will get huge benefits from these light curtain images. Now it's just a trivial price that must be paid before getting the benefits. The left and right is just the death of the society. As long as you face it bravely, you will have nothing to fear. At the same time, looking at the fantasy index on the system panel, which has exceeded 10,000, and the 4-digit number after the decimal point continues to rise, Soo-yoon is in a happy mood. It's been back. Next is pure profit. In this way, the length of the second video can be lengthened a lot, and more private goods can be added to achieve the goal of fantasy power collection. Yes, the just concluded light curtain image was not so short and weak on purpose by Soo-yoon, but only so much fanciful. It takes a lot of fantasy power to broadcast globally and achieve complete uninterruption, and to subtly instill in all viewers the idea of the content of the video is real. Ryusuk had 9,725.2379 points of fantasy power at the beginning, but after using all of them, he created a light curtain image that was as long as before. In desperation, I could only make the story into a series. However, this can be regarded as a long-term catching big fish and maximizing the benefits. After all, just like watching a drama, all the content is released in one go, although it can make the audience watch it, but the benefits are far less than 1.1 release it slowly. Moreover, in addition to this fantasy harvest, the characters who are the leading actors have also gained. Although I didn't feel it at all, in the eyes of Soo-yoon, the authority dog, there was a strong fantasy power emerging in Arteria, and it was naturally absorbed into the body from the outside world. This magical effect is brought about by light curtain images. In the comprehensive world, the world's luck is concentrated in the Yingzhou area, and the core is those characters who have important roles in various two-dimensional works. In fact, not only girls, but also men, through the light curtain images, people all over the world have the impression of this person is an extraordinary person to those characters, and the performance in the images makes people have extraordinary understanding. Combined with Su Yun's system functions, it can resonate with the corresponding characters, giving these people extraordinary opportunities. Of course, this kind of opportunity is always just an opportunity. If you want to turn the opportunity into reality, you have to use Su Yun's fantasy force as a thrust to achieve the miracle of modifying reality and realizing fantasy. Soon, Arteria was taken away. After all, it was impossible for Arteria, who was the party involved, to continue to stay in the classroom after the light curtain image appeared. In fact, everyone was not in the mood for the class. Under the order of the superiors, the school left Arteria to stay, and then temporarily cancelled today's classes, so that the entire school's teachers and students were dismissed from get-off work. Su Yun naturally had to go back, but he was not worried that Yingzhou would be disadvantaged to Arteria. After all, the latter was a member of the Holy British royal family with an extraordinary identity. Although Arteria concealed it well, how could such a thing be concealed from the Yan Kingdom official? Without the nod from the top executives of the Yan Kingdom, it is impossible for a noble person like Arteria to be treated unfairly, and with the manners of the Yan Kingdom since ancient times, she would not bother to do such a thing. So, taking Arteria away now is actually to protect this girl who is suspected to be King Arthur. In fact, an ocean-going phone call had come from New Camelot, the capital of the Holy British Empire, and had a conversation with Arteria, asking Arteria to cooperate with the local officials, and a special officer had already arrived. Holy Britannia doesn't want to ask Yingzhou to send Arteria back, and they don't have the ability. After all, the world's #1 superpower is the Yan Kingdom, not the Holy Britannia. The former Holy Britain was indeed the #1 in the world, but that was the last century. Now that this matter has happened, Holy Britain can only choose to cooperate with the Yan Kingdom to jointly study the light curtain image and the various characters in it. In fact, all the people who appeared in the light curtain have been found by official personnel and sent to Tokyo for resettlement together. Until all the dust settles, these people can only stay in Tokyo. Although it won't do anything to them, the freedom of life must be limited. Although many of them are dissatisfied, but the matter involves transcendence and mystery, so they can only be obedient. Su Yun returned to her current home. In fact, it is a high-end single apartment. It is also a benefit of time travel, which was given to him by the world consciousness. Even the property rights of the entire building are actually his. In other words, he directly realized financial freedom and became a landlord. I have to say, world consciousness is really YYDS. Even if you complete the mission of saving the world, you still have to stay here. This world is beautiful, and everyone in it is talented and speaks nicely. Su Yun Shao likes it here. Therefore, in order to protect this beautiful world, after Su Yun returned home, he immediately started a new round of video editing. The fantasy power he had just acquired was also poured into it, and he strived to be able to execute a new round of public execution tomorrow. The video is sent out. At the same time, guests from all over the country were also brought to the headquarters of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Room on the other side of the city. The so-called guests are naturally the characters who have appeared in the light curtain image. Although the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasure Room is nominally funded and established by the Yingzhou side, it is actually directly controlled by the Yan Kingdom. It is a special department dedicated to mysterious phenomena and is responsible for dealing with supernatural events in the entire Yingzhou region. Therefore, the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasure Room has the highest authority in the matter of the people related to the light curtain images, and they were all brought to the countermeasure room headquarters. Of course, although they were all brought, the treatment was different. Among them, the one who received the highest treatment was undoubtedly Arturia. As a member of the Holy British royal family, who was clearly the heroine in the light curtain image, Arturia was treated the best, followed by the others. Among them, Emi Yakiritsugu's family and Kuumi received the best treatment. After all, they are their own people in the countermeasure room, so they are naturally better. These people all have separate residences, either as a family or alone, and they all have their own private space with their families. At the same time, a huge reception room and rest and entertainment room were also arranged for everyone, so that these people could communicate and relax without being so stressed. Obviously, the supernatural disaster countermeasure room or the official government did not treat Arturia and others as prisoners. Although freedom was restricted, the treatment they gave was the best possible treatment, which was more similar to temporary house arrest. When I confirm what I want to know, or if there is a new incident, I might put everyone back. Of course, if it is really confirmed that everyone has extraordinary power, it will be another scene. In this war against the mysterious, human beings are at an absolute disadvantage. UU reading www. The survival of UUGonshu.com has been threatened. In this case, if there are people who really have extraordinary power, it will undoubtedly become the miracle that mankind has been searching for. The miracle of saving mankind. It's just that the results of the inquiry disappointed the people in the paranormal disaster response room. Everyone said that there was absolutely no such thing as in the light curtain image, not even memory, let alone supernatural power. At the same time, everyone's net worth and background are not secret in front of the power of the state apparatus. The results of the investigation are also clean, as if the stories in the light curtain image are all fictional. But is this possible? The world is broadcast synchronously, and the world record, plus the subtle installation of the consciousness of images are real to everyone. Even if there is doubt, it is a 7-point letter, at most 3-point doubt. Then, what is the truth? After watching the recorded images repeatedly, everyone found the truth from the first content in the light curtain image. History erased. This should not be an erasure after destroying books, records, and related personnel in the sense that people understand, but a higher level erasure. For example, literally erase history, mass modification of memory, or even, change the timeline. Although every kind of thing is incredible, but now mysteries are rampant, and that mystery is something that can't be understood, and it's not surprising that there are some things that human science can't explain. The so-called existence means rationality. This has already appeared. What else is reasonable? Rather than worrying about those things, let's first figure out how to obtain the extraordinary power in the light curtain image. Okay, Sister Wang, I know, don't worry, I won't lose the reputation of the Pendragon family, nor will it affect the relationship between Yanguo and the Pendragon family. I will work hard, please don't worry. Putting down the phone, Arturia let out a sigh of relief. The phone call just now was from her sister, Morgan Le Fay. It's not accusation but condolences and guidance, telling her what to do. The relationship between the two is very good. Morgan Le Fay is the second-in-line heir to the empire, much stronger than her dozen or so out-of-line heirs. For Sister Wang, she is very respectful. Therefore, the phone call made her feel very guilty, because she found that she had caused trouble for Sister Wang, who even said that she would fly to Yingzhou tomorrow. I really don't make any progress at all. Arturia lowered her head, her mood was very low, and she became lethargic. However, at the same time as she was depressed, the girl had longing in her heart, and the object of her longing was the Maiden Night King in the light curtain image. If I really have the same power as her, maybe I can protect my country and people. Come on, Kiritsugu, this is what I cooked for you myself, but you have to be good, and eat all the leftovers after all. This is what people have worked so hard to do, and it is full of people's love for you, Kiritsugu. Oh love! In another room, in front of a dining table, Emiya Kiritsugu looked expressionless, but cold sweat poured into the indescribable dark dishes in front of him, feeling that the hand holding the chopsticks was shaking slightly. Looking up, a beautiful and smiling face faced him. That smiling face was really beautiful, with fair skin, silver white hair, and burgundy pupils, everything focused on this beautiful lady, who was also Emiya Kiritsugu's wife. Just on the sofa next to them, Emiya Shiro and Ilya, brothers and sisters, lowered their heads involuntarily and did not dare to look at their mother. The two little ones shivered and sat there, feeling that their mother is really scary now. But there is no way, father, who told you to cheat? Even if the concept in the light curtain image is derailed, it is also derailment, so if someone has to suffer, why not you, the father who made the mistake? The filial son, the filial daughter's thinking is so simple and boring. I didn't expect that, in a certain possibility, you would actually be my disciple, Father Koto Feng. In the dining room shared by special guests, Tokiomi Tozaka looked at Koto Mine Kaire in front of him and said slowly. Koto Mine Kaire put down the spoon and wiped his mouth. His posture was calm and composed, and he was very cultivated. If it weren't for the fact that the empty plate had all kinds of chili oil and tofu residue, indicating that it was actually a plate of super spicy mapo tofu, those who didn't know it would have thought he was eating Western food. To be honest, Tosaka Tokiomi actually wanted to twitch his face, but his good upbringing made him collapse. Then, I heard Koto Mine Kaire say, indeed, I'm also very surprised, Mr. Tosaka. Then, Mr. Tosaka, do you think that video is real? Tokiomi Tozaka pondered for a while and then nodded. In this world without extraordinary power, he devoted all his talents to modern knowledge. He has a master's degree from the Department of Financial Management of Yingzhou University, so he has some knowledge of scientific hypotheses. He is very clear. Parallel worlds, historical revisions, memory rewriting, all unthinkable things may make the story revealed in the light curtain image be forgotten by the world, even us. Although I don't know much about this, but I know a little bit. From the perspective of quantum mechanics, it is not impossible to modify reality. Koto Mine Kaire was silent for a while. Indeed, from the perspective of quantum mechanics, modifying reality is a matter of course, but can anyone in this world really do such a thing? Tokiomi Tozaka shook his head. I don't know either, but the advent of mystery has challenged the worldview we believe in, so it's not unacceptable that more incredible things will happen. The key is, why the light curtain image exposes these disappearing histories just to let the world know. It is really hard to understand. Koto Mine Kaire closed his eyes, raised his right hand, and picked up the cross on his chest with a pious expression. Everything is arranged by the Lord. A great Lord is not understandable to mortals, and to speculate on the Lord's will with the thoughts of mortals, it is the greatest disrespect and ignorance. Tosaka Tokiomi, you mean, this is arranged by the Lord you believe in? Koto Mine Kaire. There was no answer, but that pious gesture had already explained everything. Tosaka Tokiomi nodded. He knew that it was pointless to discuss this issue with the other party. He was an atheist, while Mine Kaire was a devout church believer. The thinking patterns of the two sides were also fundamentally different. However, this also made Tosaka Tokiomi realize that it was indeed a little too arrogant for him to use his own thinking to figure out the existence of a light curtain image. Perhaps just like the text that appeared in the light curtain image at the beginning, it was only done to re-unearth this buried history. Although it is difficult to understand, just as human beings cannot understand the mystery, in this increasingly crumbling world, anyone and things that cannot be understood have become a matter of course. And just when Tosaka Tokiomi was thinking, suddenly, the lights went out. Immediately afterwards, a biting chill and an instinctive sense of fear flooded into his heart, causing Tosaka Tokiomi's complexion to change drastically. Because, all these reactions signify one thing. Mystery is coming. Mystery, enemy of mankind, predator of life, creator of chaos and madness. Humans cannot understand the mystery, because the mystery cannot be explained by science. Mystery is like a crazy mockery of the worldview recognized by human beings, subverting the scientific common sense understood by human beings, and operating with unique rules. One of the rules is the cluster effect called the mystery effect. The characteristic is the area shrouded in mysterious phenomena, and modern lighting tools such as electric lamps will go out for no reason. It's not that the wire is short-circuited, or the light is broken, or it's inexplicably extinguished. When the mystery leaves or disappears, it will resume again. In addition to this, all humans in the area shrouded by the mysterious phenomenon will feel a bone-chilling chill and a strong instinctive fear, and naturally understand that they have been targeted by the mysterious phenomenon. It is impossible to understand, and it is impossible to understand the reason. It is like encountering a mortal enemy engraved in genes, and it is like a mysterious phenomenon deliberately reminding human beings that when they arrive, human beings should fall into fear and despair. It was like this now. Tokiomi Tozaka felt it, and Kotomine Kaire felt it too. Tokiomi Tozaka subconsciously took out his mobile phone and quickly measured the screen, but did not try to turn on the light on the mobile phone, because it would definitely not turn on. This is what the mysterious phenomenon brings to human science that cannot be understood. All the equipment that can bring reliable light sources fails. Only when the light source is unstable and not bright enough, such as the mobile phone to turn on the screen, it is useful. After Kotomine Kaire took out his phone, he tried to turn on the light, but sure enough, he failed, and he could only use the weak light source of the phone screen to illuminate. At the same time, a piercing alarm sounded. Warning, encounter a mysterious invasion. Warning, encounter a mysterious invasion. All units pay attention and evacuate immediately. If you see a mysterious phenomenon, follow the safety rules. Warning, encounter, beep. The alarm went off, and it ended abruptly and without warning. There were only vague busy noises and noises in the air, which added to the fear in everyone's heart. However, no one dared to shout, because when encountering a mysterious attack, shouting will only increase the possibility of encountering a mysterious attack. Purely courting death, quietness is the right choice. At this moment, 2 staff members of the Paranormal Disaster Response Room came over. They were already in a cold sweat, but they were still very professional and said, "You two, please come with us, we will take you to emergency evacuation." Tozaka Tokiomi was very anxious in his heart, but he was well educated and asked in a deep voice, "Where are my wife and daughter?" "Staff, please rest assured, there are staff looking for them, and all the main personnel of the light curtain incident will be given priority to evacuate." Hearing this, Tokiomi Tozaka heaved a sigh of relief, and didn't say anything about the pig teammates who were going to see his wife and daughter soon. He knew that that would only put them all in danger, so just follow the arrangements of the professionals. It turned out that Tokiomi Tozaka was right, because the professionals of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Office immediately called all the personnel involved in the light curtain images for transfer. At the same time, the elite combat team has also been fully armed for action. Although it was a sudden and mysterious attack, the countermeasure room didn't panic. However, the situation was so sudden that it was difficult for everyone to understand. As the highest commander of the countermeasures room, the head of the countermeasures room, Takako, frowned and asked his subordinates, "What's going on? Why did we suddenly encounter a mysterious attack here?" A staff member who looked like an assistant next to him looked at the special tablet in his hand. Yu was reading www. The real-time data was fed back on yuyugonshu.com, but after seeing the data, his expression was very ugly. Then, he said to the immeasurable Tajizai, "Officer, according to the data, this mysterious disaster is not a new one, but one we know of. Through analysis, it should be a disaster of level 4, the singer." Immeasurable Tajizai's complexion suddenly changed dramatically, and her body trembled fiercely. At present, Every country in the world has its own set of rating standards for secrets, and Yingzhou follows Yan Kingdom and divides mysterious disasters into 7 levels. Yan Guo has always been unpretentious about this kind of disaster, and he will not take any cool code names, that is, the division of 7 levels. Level 1 is a low-hazard level, which may cause casualties to ordinary people, but the number is generally small, only 1 to a few people. The second level is the hazard level, which can already cause a dozen to 100 casualties, and will pose a huge threat to the safety of people's lives and property. The third level is the high hazard level, which can directly cause the destruction of an area. Level 4 is the city destroying level, which can destroy a city. Level 5 is a terrifying level, which can destroy multiple cities and kill millions of people. The sixth level is the national annihilation level, which can destroy small and medium-sized countries. The seventh level is the civilization collapse level. Once it appears, a big country like the Yan Kingdom and even the entire human civilization on Earth may be destroyed in a disaster. Simple and easy to understand, you can clearly understand the danger of mysterious disasters at a glance. But it is because it is simple and easy to understand that it makes people feel fear and trembling. And the mystery of the code-named singer is the existence of disaster level 4, and it has already appeared, and the activity area is the Yingzhou area. Code name, Singer No. Y0007 Disaster Level, 4 First Appearance, July 15, 1982 Appearance Area, Yingzhou Autonomous Region Jian's Village Appearance Times, 7 times Weather to contain, no whether it is controllable, no whether it is destroyed, no explanation, an unsolved and mysterious phenomenon. The individual is a translucent woman floating in the air, similar to the ghost in the weird story, and it will utter an ethereal song. The killing rule is to trigger the killing mechanism after a certain decibel sound is emitted. It is extremely dangerous, the physical isolation is ineffective, and it cannot be destroyed or contained. It has a certain wisdom and is one of the extremely rare wisdom mysteries. When it first appeared, all 1072 people in Jian's village died. Each subsequent appearance will cause a large number of casualties. Countering method, this mysterious phenomenon is as afraid of sunlight as the normal mysterious phenomenon, and nuclear fusion methods can eliminate it. Other than that, there is no obvious weakness. When confronting it, try to keep silent as much as possible so that it doesn't trigger the kill rule. Note, without triggering the killing mechanism, even a mysterious individual with intelligence cannot bypass the rules to kill. Additional remarks, this individual has intelligence, and in the case of humans deliberately not making sounds, they will use various methods to induce humans to make sounds, thereby triggering the killing rules. In an instant, information about the singer appeared in Wu Yang Takazai's mind, and the pressure came instantly, making her throat dry. At the same time, immeasurable Tajiko also felt incomprehensible. She did not understand why such a thing as a singer came here. You must know that although the singer is also unpredictable and mysterious, she is also wise. Every time it appears and brings death, it is to choose those small villages and towns. When did it attack a big city like Tokyo? According to big data analysis, cities with large populations, civilization, and prosperity can effectively curb the emergence of mystery. So far, there has never been a case of mystery in a big city. It seems that the mystery of mystery is also in line with some metaphysics concepts. Hard to exist. However, the appearance of the singer has shattered this concept, proving that even a super metropolis like Tokyo, which is one of the top 5 in terms of population density in the world, will still have mysteries. The most important thing is that the singer is a mystery with wisdom. Even if this kind of intelligence is completely different from that of human beings, and the thinking mode is not understandable by human beings at all, it means that it has the will to think and knows how to weigh the pros and cons. So the question is, why did the singer attack the headquarters of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Room? Suddenly, immeasurable Tajizai thought of a possibility, and instantly stood upside down, and then immediately gave an order to the opponent. immediately dispatched the Nine-Tailed Fox Squad and the Tracer Squad to the relevant personnel code-named Holy Grail War, and the rest of the combat squad encountered the showgirl and used all means to delay the showgirl's action. The showgirl, that mystery, is likely to be directed at them. Mysterious, able to understand the hope of mankind, and they want to destroy the hope of mankind. She made the most correct decision and order. However, it seems that it is still too late, because at the next moment, she received a report from her subordinates, that is, the Holy Grail War-related personnel code-named King Arthur encountered a singer. Va. 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 Well. Wow hee hee. You don't talk. Don't make a sound. Run, Gunshots, muffled hums, screams, and ethereal and melodious singing resounded in a corridor. Arturia had lost her ability to think and could only stare blankly ahead. There, 7 members of the countermeasure room had turned into corpses, and the female staff member who was closest to her died after uttering the last words of warning. All people die in one way, that is, the entire jaw is torn off, the vocal cords are torn out from the broken jaw, and the blood in the whole body will solidify in an instant, as if they have died for 10 hours in an instant, even the splashing there will be no blood. The whole process is as simple and rude as an invisible hand, and everyone has no ability to resist. The person who did all this was 7 meters away, floating in midair, a woman wearing a broken white robe. Her body was translucent, her skin was blue-white, she had long hair and covered most of her face. Mystery, singer. At the same time as it appeared, ethereal and pleasant singing filled the corridor. At the moment of appearance, some of the 7 staff who escorted Arturia to evacuate were talking about walking quickly and comforting Arturia. As a result, 2 people on the spot triggered the song girl's murder rule: don't speak in front of the song girl. Because the attack was too sudden and the death came too quickly, everyone didn't respond, and they didn't know what the mystery of the attack was. On the spot, some people shouted to go quickly, or angrily shouted the name of the dead partner, and tried to fight back. The killing rules were triggered again, and they started killing people one after another. In fact, the professionalism of these staff members is very high, and they should have performed better. However, the singing voice of the singer will induce human beings to speak, which is an influence of thinking. If you do not have a firm will to keep your mouth shut, then when you encounter a singer, you will continue to have the desire to speak, which will trigger the singer. Killing mechanism. In the end, when the last staff remembered that this was a singer, what they had to do was to cover Arturia's mouth and say the last word. Death came like this. There was no sign, and there was no chance for human beings to react and resist. It came unreasonably like this, bringing death and despair. Sit back limply and fell to the ground. Arturia's delicate body trembled. She had never seen such a scene. She completely lost her ability to think. She could only look up blankly, looking at the singer who uttered an ethereal singing voice. At the same time, the singer tilted her head slightly in a very humane way, as if she was observing Arturia. Although it can't see the eyes, it can clearly feel its curiosity and full of malice. Then, the singing voice of the singer became even louder, and the strong singing stimulation was constantly affecting Arturia's brain, causing her to constantly have the urge to want to happen and say something. It was no longer something normal people could resist, but the girl didn't say anything. She tightened her lips, and the blood slid down the bitten lips, representing the girl's will. She, not wanting to let down the victims, she must not speak up. Even if you are afraid to the extreme, you have to be patient, persevere, and... Really interesting. Suddenly, an extremely strange voice sounded, as if singing, and it was uneven, making people stand upside down. The source of the voice was the singer, and this mysterious person showed a humane smile. At that moment, Arturia, who saw this scene, suffered a violent shock in her heart, and a terrifying mental agitation made her almost lose control of her body, and her clenched lips were not affected. Control opened. At the same time, the vocal cords vibrated, and a syllable that seemed to be squeezed out of the throat came out from the throat. In an instant, the killing rule was triggered, and an invisible force rushed to Artoria and was about to kill her. It seems that Artoria's death is a foregone conclusion. Unless a miracle happened. Then a miracle happened. The invisible blade flickered, the magic power was released, the airflow surged, and a blue-white figure suddenly appeared, slashing out with an incomparably sharp sword. The mysterious power that cannot be touched by human beings was instantly smashed by this slash, and the strong magic airflow even affected the singer, causing her to suddenly fly backwards. The next moment, under the gaze of Artoria's wide, incredible eyes, a girl who looked exactly like her but full of heroic spirit stood in front of her and looked down at her. The position where he was standing just made the light between the corridors shine on his body, allowing Artoria to see his figure completely. Then, the other party made a calm and dignified voice that was exactly the same as Artoria's. "I ask you, is it my reincarnation?" Artoria didn't answer. "Can't speak, is it because things are sudden and make you overwhelmed?" "No, not so. Just because, the girl in front of her was so beautiful that she lost her words." So, the two of them sat on the ground and looked up at each other, and the other looked down at each other under the moonlight, forming a silent world-famous painting. Rewind time to 1 minute ago. Su-Yun, who was lying in bed at home and made a video through the system, was stunned for a moment, then immediately sat up, frowning deeply. Then, his eyes turned to one direction, where Artoria was. As the girl he is most concerned about, Su-Yun used the method of public execution to have the girl taken away by the official organization. Naturally, it is impossible to do nothing. He has already locked the girl's situation through the system. Once the girl is in danger, he can immediately sense it. And through the systematic investigation, Su-Yun's brows furrowed even deeper, because he sensed the existence of the mystery, and instantly understood that the danger the girl encountered came from the mystery. The headquarters of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Room suffered a mysterious attack. Now that the whole world is mysteriously recovering, the whole world knows that the situation is not good, and organizations such as the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasures Room that specialize in mystery naturally cannot hide it. In order to give the public confidence, these types of institutions are open to the public. Even if there are many secrets inside, the public must be made aware of their existence, and once any achievements are made, they must be published. There is no other reason. If there is really no hope and the people cannot feel that they are protected, then human society will definitely start chaos and collapse from the inside. Therefore, Su-Yun is also very aware of the existence of the Supernatural Disaster Countermeasure Room, and has paid attention to it. I thought it would not be dangerous for Artoria to be taken away by the countermeasure room, but I didn't think it would be such a crisis. However, since Artoria was in danger, she had no choice but to take action. Seeing that there was less than 3,000 fantasy power left, Su-Yun used up 2,000 of them with some pain, and activated another function of the system. Fantasy realization. At this time, a function Su-Yun added to the system belongs to an emergency function, because it consumes too much fantasy power, but the benefits it can bring are not necessarily much. Now that the situation is urgent, I can't take care of that much. Fantasy realization, as its name suggests, is to dramatize fantasy. This is the ability to directly interfere with reality. It can be said to modify reality, and the fantasy power consumed is naturally extremely exaggerated. If not, Su-Yun can directly embody a lot of powerful two-dimensional girls, and then directly push the whole mysterious disaster. Why do you need to create a global live light curtain image to collect fantasy? In fact, even if he wants to materialize his fantasy now, it is simply not enough to rely on Su-Yun's current fantasy power. Su-Yun actually relied on the effect of today's live broadcast to make people all over the world have the illusion that the other party is King Arthur, and let the girl attach a layer of fantasy power of King Arthur. What Soo-yoon did was to combine the fantasy power of the two to achieve the realization of fantasy. At the same time, in order to achieve this kind of realization, it is not just about having the fantasy power of both to succeed. In order to succeed, Soo-yoon must also obtain the favorability of the client, that is, after brushing the favorability to a certain level, he can use the fantasy power of the other party, otherwise the two fantasy powers will not be able to resonate. This is quite complicated and troublesome. Soo-yoon is not looking for trouble for himself and making the system he pinches so complicated, but the more refined the corresponding settings and the more perfect the details, the less fantasy power will be consumed. The system itself is the artificial mental retardation of Mo-DZ. When Soo-yoon uses it, if the input instructions are not detailed enough, bugs are prone to appear, and the fantasy power is wasted. If Soo-yoon's situation is really considered to be developing a game, the so-called fantasy power is the funds held by the project team. As the project leader, he wants to use the funds at the cutting edge. As we all know, the more detailed the planning of a project, the more cost-saving it can be. What Soo-yoon has done is to continuously improve and concretize the system functions, adding all the details that can be imagined. In this way, every fantasy power can be used on the blade. In the final analysis, it is because of poverty. If there are tens of billions of fantasy power on his body, Soo-yoon would not bother to dig into these details, directly give a goal, and then consume a lot of fantasy power to let the system improve the details and execute the plan on its own. When the fantasy realization function was used, the scene in front of Soo-yoon changed. A mouse and keyboard appeared in the void in front of him, and there was also a 50-inch large monitor. However, only he can see and touch these, and they are system realized. The real content on the large monitor is where Arteria is located. It could be clearly seen that a transparent and strange woman was approaching Arteria, who was slumped on the ground, and there were several corpses with extremely miserable deaths around. Seeing this scene, Soo-yoon narrowed his eyes, showing coldness in his eyes. Afterwards, he put his hands on the mouse and keyboard and started the fantasy realization. As if manipulating a character from a third-person perspective, in Soo-yoon's field of vision, his own fantasy power is attached to Arteria and combined with the fantasy power on his body. The fantasy power on the latter was originally somewhat resistant, but when they found out that the fantasy power came from Soo-yoon, based on Arteria's high degree of favorability towards Soo-yoon, they no longer resisted, and Soo-yoon's fantasy combined force. In an instant, in the void, a girl knight who looked exactly like Arteria herself, only wearing a blue and white skirt and armor, appeared. Clicking the left mouse button, the violent attack instantly shattered the mysterious attack. Facing the stunned Arteria, the girl knight said a word of her own. "I ask you, are you my reincarnation?" It wasn't Soo-yoon's control, but the girl knight who realized the fantasy asked by herself. This is the result of the role setting. It's the same principle. The more perfect the setting, the less fantasy power it consumes, and the better the realization effect. For Soo-yoon, just like what he did at this time, the personified characters are the game characters that are manipulated, and all their languages and personalities are set. There is no doubt that the attitude of the Maiden Knight is the Holy King Arthur in Soo-yoon's mind, that is, the well-known dumb hair king in the second dimension. It is also thanks to Soo-yoon that he was a dog planner before crossing the road, otherwise he would really not be able to play with these complicated system settings. Without him, I only know you well. At this moment, if there is a BGM, it would be perfect. At least, a sweet and ethereal melody resounded in Arteria's mind involuntarily. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com looked extremely beautiful in line with the current situation. At this moment, Arteria saw the girl who was exactly the same as her on the opposite side. Her right hand suddenly waved back, as if she was holding something in her hand, and even the light in that area was distorted. Then, there was only a swoosh sound of cutting, and it seemed that something invisible was cut open, forming a gust of air, and the terrifying mystery singer was obviously stunned for a moment. "It seems," Can't understand why. Then, the girl knight looked back at the singer, with a cold expression on her face and obvious disgust in her eyes. What a disgusting demon! Even those cannibal monsters, there is no such thing as you that makes me feel disgusted. At the same time as these words were said, the singing girl's killing mechanism was triggered again, but all of them were blocked and chopped off by the girl's knight's invisible weapon, and not a single blow could hurt the girl's knight. Even though the mystery is a terrifying thing that humans cannot fight against, once its killing methods are directly contained, the level of terror will be greatly reduced. For example, right now, under the gaze of Artoria's involuntarily widened beautiful eyes, the girl knight suddenly moved her feet and charged in front of the singer with unparalleled power. Then, a slash that was sharp and far surpassed the speed of sound broke out. Along with the strong airflow, the singer's body was cut off, and the raging airflow even tore her body to shreds instantly. The whole process was neat and tidy, like beheading an inconspicuous little monster. The battle has just begun, and it is over. The fourth level mystery that humans can't resist, in front of the maiden knight formed by human fantasy, it seems so weak. Is this resolved? Su-Yun raised her eyebrows, feeling that it was too simple. Looking at the right side of the screen, her heart really wasn't that simple. There, a task entry text was displayed. Destroy the mysterious calamity, Song Girl, current progress, 1/13. As the person chosen by world consciousness, Su-Yun has the authority granted him by the planet, among which is the authority to share the intelligence held by human beings. After screening through the system, Su-Yun can directly let Su-Yun know what the mystery he encountered as long as it is known by humans. If there is no information, it will be displayed as unknown mystery. As for the subsequent progress, it is the detection function that Su-Yun gave the system. After attacking the mystery, you can get feedback, so as to know the degree of damage to the mystery that is fighting. 1/13. It means that Su-Yun's one shot just now wiped out the 13/3 of the singer's existence, and by destroying all of them, this mystery can be completely wiped out. As far as the singer's strength is concerned, as long as she finds it, it will take 12 more slashes, but for Su-Yun, there is a very troublesome problem, that is fantasy embodiment, 0:4242 seconds, and it is decreasing continuously, representing the duration of the fantasy manifesting. This is the problem of fantasy realization. 2000 points of fantasy power can only make fantasy realization last for 1 minute. As a revision of reality, it must also be subject to revision of reality. 2000 points of fantasy power to make the King of Dum manifest in 1 minute is the limit, and now there are 40 seconds left. Naturally, this time is not enough. Well, it's not impossible, that is. Turning his eyes to Artoria, Su-Yun immediately controlled the girl knight to come to Artoria. Seeing this, the latter had not recovered from the shock, and asked nervously, "That, thank you very much, that. Are you, me? Maiden Knight, I don't have time to explain, I'll borrow your body." At the same time, text appeared on Su-Yun's system screen. Press F to enter. So, Su-Yun pressed F after all. He didn't press F to enter the tank, so he didn't feel any resistance at all. The girl knight's body suddenly became transparent, and then entered Artoria's body. This scene shocked Artoria, and the girl quickly found that she lost control of her body. The body was accompanied by a burst of white light, and the clothes on his body turned into blue-white armor, and his expression never became overwhelmed, but became serious, full of heroic spirit, as if he had suddenly changed people. This form is that of the girl knight just now. At the same time, the duration of fantasy manifestation has also increased from less than 40 seconds to 372 seconds, and the remaining time is directly multiplied by 10. Because the phantasmagoria of the Dumb King has the most suitable carrier, Artoria herself, so the automatic correction of the phantasm in the real world is weakened. Of course, weakening does not mean no. 372 seconds, almost 6 minutes, Soo-yoon must solve the mysterious singer in these 6 minutes. Soo-yoon immediately used a skill, and Arteria, who was under his control, immediately closed her eyes, and then a wool spread out from her mind, and the surrounding scene instantly turned black and white, and became transparent. At the same time, the scope of vision expanded rapidly, and soon the entire supernatural disaster response headquarters was included in the scope, showing a lot of human outlines, as well as 12 red dots at different locations, representing hostile targets. This is one of Artoria's skills, Alavel intuition, which can be understood as the highest level perception ability. In the original book, Arteria can even achieve the level of predicting the future in battle through intuitive skills. And here, Soo-yoon's ability to manifest through fantasy power is to clearly perceive the situation within a radius of 500 meters, which belongs to the top detection ability. What appeared in Soo-yoon's eyes was the current situation. As for Artoria herself, it was another situation. After the body was controlled, Arteria found that she was actually detached from her body. To be more precise, her vision was detached from her body, and she directly entered the field of vision of a third-person shooter game, that is, the field of vision of a TPS game. The field of vision is fixed behind the character, you can see the whole body of the character, but only the back, and the field of vision also rotates with the field of view of the character itself. When the intuition skills were used, what Artoria saw was different from that of Soo-yoon. She shared the senses of her body, so she could directly perceive the surrounding situation. That feeling was very strange, and Arteria was deeply shocked, and her small eyes were filled with great astonishment. Then, through Soo-yoon's control, Arteria's body moved, and she rushed up to the first floor. The oncoming person was a special operations team with guns and live ammunition, mainly dressed in black. The moment they saw Arteria, the well-trained combat team members raised their specially made assault rifles. Just after seeing Arteria's appearance, the group of people were all stunned for a moment, and then the person who was obviously the captain immediately reported with a headset, "I found the target character King Arthur, bring it now." Swish! Artoria directly passed the group of people with a speed that the human eye couldn't help with, and an incredible way of stepping on the wall, and then rushed to the other side of the corridor and disappeared. The entire distance reached 20 meters, but the process only took a lot of 2 seconds, which made the elite combat team on the spot bewildered and wondered if they and others were dazzled. How can someone so big disappear in a flash? At the same time, the headquarters also asked about the situation on their side, reading www.yukanshu. After all, Com is only halfway through the report and has no sound, which is abnormal no matter how you look at it. So, the squad leader had to explain the situation here. On the other side, Arteria had already rushed into another corridor. Here, there were several corpses, but the staff in the countermeasure room were not all destroyed. They were protecting a woman in her 30s and a woman, a 15 or 16-year-old girl with black hair and 2 ponytails. Judging from their 7-point similarity in appearance, they should be a mother and daughter. At the same time, there is also an individual who is close to the singer who was killed by Arteria before, and is obviously a part of the singer. Evil. In the cold voice, the singer's killing mechanism was triggered, causing everyone on the scene to show panic. However, the look of panic quickly turned into consternation, because the singer was smashed in the next moment. Everyone just felt that the person who suddenly rushed into the corridor disappeared, and then the air burst, and the singer was torn apart in this gust of wind. Destroy the mysterious calamity, singer, current progress, 2/13. Duration of the Sanctuary of Fantasy Manifestation, 356 seconds. In 16 seconds, the singer gets one again. Then, Artoria left like a gust of wind, leaving behind the stunned crowd. Because the lights went out, everyone didn't see Arteria's face clearly at all. They only saw that someone came and defeated the singer with incredible power. When someone came back to their senses, shocking emotions flooded into their hearts, followed by unparalleled excitement. Because, this means that what human beings have been longing for since the mysterious recovery has finally appeared. That is mystery, no longer indestructible.